G'day everyone, it's Matt Paul here, and in this short video we'll explore everything about Arturia's rebuilt and redesigned recreation of the classic Mini Moog, the Mini V4. Let's dive in. The Mini V4 is the world-famous cult classic mono, bass and lead synth that changed musical history, creating new genres, styles and musical cultures. The newly designed Mini V4 takes it to a whole new level by incorporating useful features such as filter loss compensation, drive, feedback, as well as filter and amp velocity modulation, offering an even wider palette of sounds. Additionally, there's a whole new advanced panel with extra modulators and effects that complement all the newly added Mini V4 features. This complete overhaul and redesign of the audio engine, oscillators, filters and envelopes makes this instrument just as good as the original while adding a touch of its own. Before we dive into the presentation, let's hear it in action by playing some of its presets. Firstly, let's examine the main panel. At first glance, it feels very familiar compared to the hardware and the previous Mini V3, however, there are some significant improvements. Mid-left, you can see the oscillator bank with the 3 oscillators, the range and fine tune, including an LO option to turn the oscillator into an LFO, and waveform selections. Oscillator 3 can be used as a dedicated LFO. The waveform selection knob lets you choose a triangle, sawtooth, ramp, and 3 different pulse types. The oscillators are redesigned using the latest technology to get even closer to the original sound of the Mini Moog. Let's quickly hear them in action. Mid-right, you will find the modifiers section including the famous Moog ladder filter plus 2 envelopes. The cutoff and the emphasis are the main focus here. Cutoff controls the filter cutoff frequency, while emphasis emphasizes certain frequencies around the cutoff point when opened up, giving it a sharp and prominent character. The contour knob allows you to control the envelope amount of the filter cutoff. Let's listen to this filter and its character in action. There's a small yet powerful parameter added with V4, it's called bass compensation. Normally, when you open up the resonance, you lose the low end of the sound. With this button switched on, you can crank the resonance as much as you like without losing the deep end. This is one of the few small game changers of the new Mini V4. Let's hear that. Below that is the envelope section for the VCF and VCA, shaping the filter and the amplitude of your sound. We all know how beautifully this all works together, and even more so now with the redesigned filter. The mixer allows you to mix and balance all 3 oscillators as you wish. Besides that, there is also a noise generator producing pink or white noise. You can easily notice 2 added knobs, the drive and the feedback. The drive knob allows you to add saturation, presence, and crunch to your sound. The original Mini-Moog allowed musicians to feed the headphone output back into the external input of the instrument, creating very interesting new textures and overtones. The feedback knob emulates exactly this powerful feature. On the far left, you'll find the controllers for your modulation parameters and the glide function. The legato switch for the glide is the small button right under the glide knob. The mod mix knob allows you to move between oscillator 3 and noise as the source of your modulation, while mod amount sets the amount of modulation sent to the oscillator and VCF via the modulation mix parameter. The switches under the knobs will determine whether you send the modulation to the filter, the oscillator, or both. The pitch and modulation wheel are the most basic modulation tools that were first introduced to the world with this instrument. The pitch wheel usually speaks for itself, affecting the pitch range for all voices simultaneously. By default, it's a semitone, but of course that can be altered to your liking in the global settings page. With Mini V4, the modulation wheel is by default assigned to the mod amount in the controller section, but it can be assigned to multiple parameters at the same time, all fully programmable in the advanced section that we'll cover in a second. Right above the wheels, you'll find a knob called Velocity and two switches called Filter and Loudness. This determines how much of your dynamic playing is sent to the filter amount and to the contour. Again, this is a great way of giving you much more expressivity when playing and allows you to create modulations without creating routings in the advanced panel. Before we move on to the advanced panel, let's cover a few additional features present on the main page of the instrument, marked as orange switches. The one on the left is the unison mode, creating a huge monophonic lead or a bass sound. The amount of detune and stereo spread can be controlled at the bottom bar. The next one is the already mentioned oscillator 3 control in the oscillator bank. This will disconnect the pitch tracking from oscillator 3 to make oscillator 3 behave as a separate modulation source. In between the mixer and the modifiers, you will find the two keyboard control switches for key tracking. There's also a separate release switch, setting the release to be the same as the decay. In the original instrument, this button is called decay. All the way on the right is the output section. This is the area where you can tune your instrument, switch to hold for holding the notes, and primarily to use the brand new Vintage knob. The Vintage knob brings the sound of the vintage Mini Moog by increasing the dispersion applied to the voices, making Mini V4 sound like the one found in your granddad's attic. As you turn it up, you'll find some beautiful warmth and wonkiness. When opening up the advanced section, you'll see it's divided into three main sections: the modulation ARP section, the keyboard section, and the effects section. The Mini V4 brings Arturia's modern twist to the original Moog sound by adding an extra LFO and a function generator, allowing you to create beautiful moving textures or even rhythmic patterns. With these, you can modulate two destinations at once. This preset is a good example of how to utilize both LFO and function to create unique modulations. Let's slowly increase the amount of these modulations to hear how the preset sounds with and without the modulators present. Next to that, you'll find a very straightforward arpeggiator where you can select different patterns at any preferred speed, as well as gate and swing functions. Combined with the LFO and function generator, you can create some pretty inspiring sequences. The keyboard section is designed for players who need even more playing control and flexibility over velocity, aftertouch, the modulation wheel, and the keyboard tracking. All four parameters have the possibility to control a maximum of 3 destinations at the same time. These can be parameters such as filters, oscillators, modulator parameters, effects, and more. Let's listen to this preset to hear how the key bed can be creatively used as a modulation source. In the effects section, you can use up to 3 separate effects at once, flowing always in series. Each effect slot has many types of reverbs, delays, dynamic effects, filters, and modulation effects like chorus, flanger, and more. All effects have presets, ideal for quick results but also great as a starting point. Let's highlight a few of these amazing effects. The pitch shift delay is a special delay effect where the delayed signals are pitched in any way you wish. This preset shows how greatly it can enhance the audio. The multiband is a 3-band compressor, allowing you to compress, gate, or limit every band, selecting the frequency and bandwidth, with visual feedback thanks to the visualizer. Apart from distortion, there's also a bit crusher, altering bit rate and sample rate in a very musical way. From all the modulation effects, it's also worth mentioning the June 6 chorus and the BL20 flanger, which combined with the Mini Moog signal path sounds really wide. And that's a wrap. Hopefully this tutorial gave you insight into the power, flexibility and awesome sound of the new Mini V4. If you want to see more Arturia content from software tutorials to artist stories, subscribe to our channel below and don't forget to leave a thumbs up. See you next time.